Hello, we are Yorkshire Flood Resilience. We're working across Yorkshire to raise awareness of the benefits of property flood resilience and promote positive behavioural changes that encourage its installation. Next slide, please. According to the Environment Agency, around 5.2 million properties in England are at risk of flooding. That's 1 in 6 of all of England's properties, whether residential or commercial. However, even if the water doesn't get into the property itself, its occupants can still be affected by flooding. The Environment Agency recently estimated that 2/3 of England's properties are served by infrastructure that's located in or depends on areas at risk of flooding. Even if people manage to avoid the direct effects of flooding, they could still be impacted by disruption to road networks, affecting their ability to get to work or take children to school, or to carry on business as usual in the workplace. In our changing climate, extreme storms are becoming more regular and sea levels are rising. Based on the UK's most recent climate projections, we could see 59% more rainfall by the year 2100 than we do now, and sea levels could rise by as much as 1.15 metres by this time. Floods that only have a 1% chance of happening each year now, in 2020, could be annual occurrences in only 30 years' time. Even if flooding might seem like a distant possibility at the moment, it's likely that this will change in just a few decades, so it's becoming ever more important for communities and businesses to make sure that they're prepared. Next slide, please.
PFR works to reduce the risk of flood damage to properties in one of two ways. Resistance approaches aim to limit or delay the amount of water entering the building, which can help to buy time to move personal possessions or valuable company assets to a higher level. A variety of options are available, ranging from flood doors to wall renders. It's important to remember that it isn't possible to keep water out entirely. For that reason, there are also recoverability approaches. These aim to minimise the damage to the internal fabric of the properties in the event that water gets in by using materials that are able to withstand water for features such as plasterboards, floors and kitchen units, and by altering how features are arranged in the home, like raising sockets and appliances above flood level. This can help to speed up the recovery process by reducing the need for costly strip out and replacement of building materials and furniture. There are a wide range of resistance and recoverability options available, and new PFR innovations are always being developed. An important note to remember about PFR is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. The types of products that would be suitable depend on the building, but also its occupants, how often they're present in the building, and how physically capable they are of implementing the PFR measures. DEFRA generally recommend a combination of resistance and resilience approaches to reduce the amount of water getting in where possible, but also to reduce the damage caused by any water that does enter. Next slide, please.
With all of these exciting new developments occurring within the PFR market, why are people holding back? We started our project with a survey of the Yorkshire public in partnership with Shelley Evans at JBA Consulting and Dr. Ben Rabb at the Integrated Catchment Solutions Partnership, or ICASP, which ran between March and May 2020 to find out more about views and concerns about PFR. The most common factor raised was a lack of understanding of what PFR is and the difference between the resistance and recoverability approaches and what they do. Many said that they would need to know more if they were to consider PFR, and it was also noted that PFR isn't very well advertised on public platforms. Without this visibility in the market, it can be difficult to find further information about PFR unless you're already fairly well informed about it and know what to look for. People were also worried about the visual impact on their homes, including whether PFR would make it obvious that their house is at flood risk and reduce its value, or even cause insurance premiums to increase.
There were also concerns about disruption during the installation process. After people have been affected by flooding, they would probably want to get back into their home or workplace as soon as possible. So many were worried that having PFR installed would delay this, if major building works would be required. However, this often isn't the case, and many measures are simple for qualified professionals to install. There needs to be a greater appreciation that PFR reduces the disruption to your property in the longer term. And if a few days of construction workers around now could save weeks or months out of your property in the future should you flood. Perceptions of the cost of PFR measures compared to their value were also a barrier. Whilst many were aware that of the cost of installing measures, awareness of the benefits of PFR was much lower, leading many to believe that the investment may not be worthwhile. Several of our survey respondents stated that their property wasn't at flood risk or wouldn't flood again. Without an understanding of future flood risk, the longer-term benefits of PFR may not be recognised. Next slide, please.
However, whilst many are still holding back and the PFR market is yet to become mainstream, the benefits of making homes or businesses flood resilient are clear. A review by DEFRA carried out after the 2015-16 Storm Desmond floods found that for every £1 you invest in PFR, it reduces the cost of flood damage, such as strip out of interior finishes, replacement of furniture and structural and electrical repairs, by at least £5. Even if the initial cost of PFR may seem off-putting, making a property flood resilient could result in huge savings in the long term, as flooding becomes increasingly likely due to climate change. If a property floods, furniture, appliances and valuables, or stock, assets and equipment could be damaged or destroyed and contaminated by floodwater. Even plasterboard and carpets often need to be stripped off and replaced, and in extreme cases, repairs to the building structure might even be required. Installing PFR minimises the likelihood of these costly and disruptive flood repairs. For example, flooding cost the average business £116,000 in damage and business disruption costs. Flood repair can be a time-consuming process. Flood victims spend an average of over 9 months in alternative accommodation whilst their home is stripped out, decontaminated, dried and reinstated. Flooded businesses lose an average of 50 working days each, a huge financial challenge. What's more, 40% of these flooded businesses fail to reopen afterwards. If a property is made flood resilient, instead of having to move out whilst lengthy construction works are carried out, you might simply be able to pump out, wipe down and disinfect, and maybe replace a few minor items. Major time-consuming repairs could be much less likely.
PFR need not be complicated or a great inconvenience. Many individual PFR products can be installed within a day. A lot of them simply require the surface to be levelled so that the product can be easily attached to it. The PFR market is growing, with new options always being developed. This is a major advantage for PFR. It's always getting easier for property owners to find the measures right for them, whatever their needs or the needs of their property. Next slide, please.
The products are there, the benefits are clear, and the situation is becoming increasingly urgent. So now it's vital that everyone can understand the benefits of PFR to help pave the way towards a flood resilient society. That's where we can help. We are Yorkshire Flood Resilience, one of 3 DEFRA-funded Pathfinder projects nationally who are working to raise awareness of property flood resilience. The project is overseen by the Environment Agency, and we're working with our partners at Living with Water, JBA Consulting and ICASP, based at the University of Leeds. We're led by Steve Ragg, Project Executive and Programme Lead of the Yorkshire Pathfinder at City of York Council. Our project covers 4 main stakeholder groups. Firstly, property owners and occupiers, whether that's householders or commercial property owners or tenants. Then there's the property trades and building suppliers sector, including developers, contractors, building suppliers and outlets. We're also targeting financial influencers such as mortgage lenders and insurers. Finally, we're working with flood risk management authorities, including Yorkshire's lead local flood authorities, water companies and the Environment Agency. We're working with these stakeholder groups across Yorkshire to raise awareness of PFR and its benefits to encourage positive behavioural changes towards its installation. Next slide, please.
We started our project in January 2020 and with our partners at JBA and ICAS conducted a survey into the perceptions and views regarding potential barriers to the uptake of PFR raised by our stakeholders across Yorkshire. Once we had discovered what people would like to know about PFR, we set out to create an informative range of online resources. This creation and development stage makes up Work Package 2 of our project. The third work package is when we introduce you to our resources. We're developing our project website, www.yorkshirefloodresilience.co.uk, which will launch this December. This aims to combine all Yorkshire-based PFR knowledge, resources and guidance in one publicly accessible location. Our website will increase the visibility of PFR to public audiences around Yorkshire and beyond, helping to raise awareness and demand to expand the market reach. Our innovation space on the website will highlight the latest developments from across the flood sector, including exciting new PFR products and a range of new flood-related technologies. You can stay up to date with our innovations page to find out more about the newest PFR developments. We'll be sharing a range of videos and blog posts from across the flood sector and from affected residents and businesses. These include examples highlighting real-life experiences to help normalise PFR and make it more relatable to remove the stigma around installation, a factor holding people back from the PFR market.
We're proud to be sponsoring a selection of episodes from the Hazard and Hope YouTube series hosted by the Environmental Design Studio. This includes case studies and how-to examples of flood-resilient Yorkshire homes and businesses. Our online awareness articles, The Real Story from Risk to Resilience, highlight the flood risk management works occurring in your area on a larger scale and help to dispel any flood-related misconceptions. We're creating online training to explain the key principles of PFR and the range of approaches available. Our animations will give clear visual depictions of what PFR would look like in position. They'll also help to break down any barriers that people may have about PFR uptake. Through our range of online resources, we aim to provide the knowledge and understanding that will help people to recognise their responsibilities when making their property flood resilient. We're also looking forward to our exciting upcoming partner project with JBA and ICASP, the PFR Assured project, which will evaluate the current provision and effectiveness of PFR in Yorkshire. This will inform the creation of new tools to identify the role of PFR elsewhere in the future. Once our resources have been released, our partners at JBA and ICASP will continue on to the fourth and final work package of the project, where they'll evaluate how successful these resources have been in encouraging the uptake of PFR. This will inform research into the most effective ways to raise awareness of PFR and encourage its uptake, which could help with future flood resilience initiatives. Next slide, please.
If you would like to know more about property flood resilience, our website, www.yorkshirefloodresilience.co.uk, will be launched later this year. From here, you can view our range of articles, case studies, and online resources. You can also find out more about the work we're doing with Yorkshire's communities to raise awareness of and demand for PFR. You can check out our blog with posts from us and industry guests to find out the latest news and discussions from the PFR sector. You can also follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook to stay informed about our news and campaigns. Also, you can tune into the Hazard and Hope YouTube series to view our selection of sponsored case study episodes and more. If you've got any questions for us and our project, you can contact us directly by email at yorkshirepropertyfloodresilience@york.gov.uk. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about our project, you're very welcome to contact us by email and we're happy to tell you more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.